All right, so let's get started. I hope you guys are having a good evening and a good week. So last week we started with React, right? Um, what I wanted to do is wanted to do this semester a little bit slow, right? Focus on React, practice a little bit, get, rather than jumping, from topic to topic, right? This way, um, you can be very confident that um, you know the basics of React, right? You can learn a lot of other things on your own. Um, so let's start, with the refresher from last week, and then we'll add something. So last week we started with something called use state, right? And we're gonna add uh, some other concepts, um, like how to render um, lists and things like that. Okay, so let's get started. Any question before we start?
I have a quick question. It does have to do with the assignment though.
Okay.
So when I put in my code,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting because I technically satisfied all the requirements for the assignment's sake, but whenever I get to like the upper parameter or the lower parameter or the
Mm-hmm.
bounds,
Mm-hmm.
it like won't decrement or increment when it gets to like the very highest and lowest. So I was just curious, like, is that something that's a problem for the assignment? Because everything else works. It's just when it gets to 10 or -10.
Yeah, so I think that was the assignment, right? To um, put an upper bound and lower bound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird because when it gets to 10, if I
Mhm.
try I can still reset it, but I can't do minus and get it to like -9. Once it gets to like or once it gets to like 10 or -10.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Got it. Okay. So you're saying that you have two buttons, plus and a minus, right?
Yeah.
And then if you keep clicking plus, once it's reached 10, you can reset it, but you cannot click on a minus, right? Or when you click on a minus, nothing happens once it reaches that 10, right?
Yeah, like if it's 9, it'll still go down or up, but then once it's 10, it won't even go down.
Okay. Okay. So the issue is in the logic how you wrote. So without giving out the whole exercise,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of understanding of that if and else statement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Angie. You have a
I
question?
just want to ask a quick question now that we're talking about the assignment. So, when I was solving this, I get to, both
Hmm.
buttons work.
Hmm.
Uh, so you can start adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. But
Hmm.
once you get to 10, uh, I guess actually I don't get it to, you have to reset it or otherwise it won't go down.
Oh,
I
okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's kind of like the same problem that Raven is.
Yeah, yeah, Raven is talking about the same problem.
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. So let me, okay. Okay, we can discuss this. Uh, yeah, these are the things you want to bring out, right? Because once you understand this, then it kind of makes sense. Oh, this is, because half the battle is um, figuring out the logic, because implementation then becomes much easier. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so um, so let's say, and without, as I said, without giving out too much information, because people who are watching who haven't done the homework yet. So let's say you have a count, right? And I'm not gonna write the whole code. Um, so it starts from 0, right? 0 and then goes to 10 if you keep pushing plus, right? And then the other way around, count starts from 0 and then goes to -1, right? -10, sorry, and it stops. So I'm assuming your logic is if it reaches 10, right? If it's greater than 10, then plus should not work, right? So if count is, let's say, greater than equal to 10, sorry, greater than equal to 10, then don't increment, which means don't call the whatever the set count, right? Okay. But you also, and then you have a second condition, which is if the count is less than equal to -10, don't increment the set count, right? The problem is this: if you're using the same function, then what's going to happen is it's going to check let's say you click on let's say it's 10 right now, okay? And then you click again plus sign. What's going to happen is going to check this. Oh, if count is greater than, then don't increment, right? What you want to do is is you want to put the whether you clicked on a plus or minus as a condition. So you can say if the count is greater than 10 and you press the plus sign, right? Then don't increment it. Okay. And here is going to be if the count is less than 10 and you press the minus button, right? Don't decrement that, right? So how do you know what you press? How do you know what you pressed? You know what you pressed. Remember, you are passing, I'm assuming that you're passing that value inside, right? Plus or minus?
Yes.
Okay, so then you can say here, you can say if the passed value is positive, right? So if it's 1, if the count is whatever not the count, but whatever the value you passed is equal to, let's say, 1, right? Then don't increment it. And here you can say if the value is -1, then don't increment it, right? So you want to write the logic based on this. So this way you are separating. Right now what's happening, once it reaches there, you will have probably something like only this condition, and so it just blocks it, right? It's almost like it's almost like let's say if you're going in. So if I say from here, let's say if I'm standing on a street, right, and I'm going north, I can go north or I can go south, right? So if I say that if I reach, let's say, the next traffic light on the north side, I should not go further, right? And then if I go south and reach that other traffic light, I should not go further, right? But if you just put that and then it's, let's say and you want to come back, you can further, you have to define it further, right? Because you can say that if my leg is moving to the north direction, right? Don't go to the north. If I want to go back, you can go, right? So that's where the value comes in the picture, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, like to add a second condition
Yeah.
that lets it understand that like it's not like everything's over when it gets to 10. It's just it can't go higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And to tell you the truth, in programming, you will have a situation where you get stuck like this, right? Then you need to define something else and then combine it to change your logic, right? So that that definitely helps you. Okay. And that's a general rule for programming. All right. Okay. So a couple of things in um, in programming, sorry, in React, we're gonna learn a couple of concepts. One is let's say, I'm just gonna list all of those concepts. So we learned about the state. Then we're gonna learn about the um, something called use effect. So I'm just gonna, then we're gonna learn about rendering the list. Rendering a list. Conditional rendering. And then what else? Yeah, let's start with the conditional rendering. Okay, let's start with the conditional rendering. This is quite important. So conditional rendering is in a dynamic situation, we can render something based on some other condition. Okay, that's called conditional rendering. For example, let's say you have a game. So most of the game, if you open the page, the first thing you will see is a start button, right? And then once you uh, click on the start button, then the game starts, right? And then the once the game starts, you might have a pause button, right? Or stop button, and you can stop or pause the game, and then you go back to the page, right? So with the same page, we are rendering the game and then showing the start page, right? It's the same page. It just we are rendering the content based on some state, right? So it's pretty simple. So let's start with let's create a new code sandbox, and we can define a state. So let's say import. Remember, you always import some use state, right? So I want you to get proficient in uh, setting up the state and using it. Okay, so you import the use state, right? And then always between this curly bracket and return, you will define your state. So again, defining is pretty simple. You have a getter, right? So let's say I can say start. Or sorry, I'm going to call it is start. Is started. I think it makes much more sense. Is started. And then set is started, right? Equal to use state. And then what kind of value this would be? Any default value?
Zero?
Say it again.
0?
Not zero, because this is a Boolean, right? You wanna either it's something is started or something is not started, right? So this would be
True, false.
true and false. But when you start, when you get to your site, the first thing you know it's not started, right? So you want to always assume that the default state is false. Okay. So
Okay.
it is false. Okay. So you can change to the true and false. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna put here, let's say my game or something, right? So we can kind of visualize it. All right. And then we're gonna have a simple button. Button, and it's gonna say start. Okay. So if I click on it, I can start the game, right? Now, right now, this is fixed. There's nothing dynamic here, as you can see. Right. So the way to start the game is obviously you need to have an on-click button, right? So you can say on-click event equal to, we're gonna define some handle. So I'm gonna say start game handle. Okay, we haven't defined this yet, but it's a function, right? So we can say function. Right? So this is kind of standard. You always import useState from React. You always define some sort of state, single state or multiple state, depends on what you want to do, right? And if you have a button, you always have an on-click event with some handle, which is nothing but a function. So when you click on it, the function runs, right? Okay, so now what do we do? Any ideas? So when I click on, what should happen?
Does it just change it to that it now knows that something has started?
Yeah, so it should change it to true, right?
Right.
So so all you need to do is when you click on it, just use it set. Remember, this is a getter. This is the value, and this is a function that lets you change the value, right? So I would say set is started equal to true, right? But obviously, if you click on it, nothing happens because we haven't actually used this anywhere yet, right? And you can see actually if you simply use it like this, well, you can't usually because Boolean doesn't show up to string. I'm gonna put it as a toString. Okay, this basically converts Boolean to string. So if you click on here, you can see it starts true, right? But then you can't do much because I just wanted to see that that is working, right? So if I refresh again, it becomes false. And when I click on here, it starts, right? Make sure you save your code sandbox. If you have an account, make sure you do that. All right. Okay, so the condition rendering says that based on the condition, I want to show and hide information. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I can take this state, which is started, and I can say if the game is already started, hide this button, which means don't show it. But if it's not started, then show this button, right? So the way the syntax is pretty simple. So the way it works is you would, obviously, because this is dynamic, you always use a curly bracket, right? And then you would say, uh, if is started, right? In this case, I want to say it's not started, right? Which means I'm just going to put this exclamation, which means it's not started. And then you would use something called end, and then put whatever you want to render, right? This really means that, I'm going to format this. This really means that if it's not started, render this. Okay, so now if I change this to true, right? So right now it's false, right? So if I put false here, and then this is a negative, right? Which means it becomes true. This basically always say if this is true, then render this, right? So now this is true. So it's rendering it. But if I click on here, what's going to happen is it makes the is started from false to true, right? So now if is started is true and there's a negative, which means it's a false, right? This part is false, which means it's not going to render this. So let's see this. It hides itself. It's not hiding, it's basically not rendering anymore because the state has changed. Okay. I can also put some sort of a status here. So let's say instead of this button only, I can, add a little bit more. So this is a new syntax, but I'm going to explain what this is. So I can put H1 here. And then I can say, click start to start the game. Okay, and let me format this. Okay, so it looks something like this. All right. Well, let me make this H2 so it's a little bit smaller. So it's not that prominent. Okay. So let's understand this, right? Anytime you want to have like two elements, you cannot have two elements without a parent, right? And either you can put some sort of div here or something, but if you don't want to put any div, you can just wrap it with an empty tag, right? So what this does is if the game is not started, it's going to render this, which means it's going to render this line and this line because it's within this one, the element, right? So if I click on start, the whole thing goes away, right? This whole thing goes away. Okay. Now, what if the game is started? If the game is started, I want to exactly replicate the same thing and then put it here. But then this time I don't want anything negative, which means if it's really started, then I want to render this. So here I'm going to say playing the game, right? And then this button would be stop, right? So let me format this. So obviously there's a start handle. So I'm going to create an and handle, right? Which you can consolidate. I'll show you. And game handle, right? And this makes it false, right? True to false. So let's see what happens. So start the game, it's playing the game, I stop it. Oh, sorry, they're supposed to be end here. Start, stop, right? All right, let's type this in and let me know if any questions. I'm just going to leave this here. So this is called conditional rendering because you have a condition, right? Which is this started. So you're rendering based on the state, which is the condition. By the way, any question on this one? Yeah, this should be pretty straightforward. All you need to do is some sort of state and, use that state to, um, yeah, so. And as you can see, I mean, JavaScript is React is so powerful that with minimum amount of code, you can build so much, right? Um, Let me know once you're done typing it. Maybe save this somewhere and then we can start with a new one. And I'm going to give you some interesting exercise on this one. So we're going to combine what we learned today and then previous, which is the counter. Okay, what we want to do is we want to have a plus and minus counter. And then when we reach a certain level, the counter should disappear. And then, once you back to the level, the counter appears. So that should be something interesting. And also, as I said, React has only 5 to 6 different things that, and everything is around that, right? Essentially, this is JavaScript, nothing more than that.
Just a quick question. Are we creating the buttons inside this return function or inside the return statement or block of code?
Are you talking about this example here? That this is,
Yeah.
yes. So what happens is that, so the app is the whole app, right? Okay.
Okay.
And the way React works is state is something that whenever you change it, okay, it has to refresh the page with the new value, right? So what happens is initially when the page loads, right, the default value is false, right? So what's going to happen is this is false, which means this would be true, right? Because it's a negative false. So when it loads, it conditionally within this thing, it will basically render this, okay? And then it would not render this. So what gets returned is a div, the title, and then inside there's these two elements, right? So that's what we see here, right? When we load the page, when I refresh it, that's what we see. We see the game, and then we see this, click start, and we see the button, right? But we don't see this. Okay, so now what happens? When I click on it, what happens? When I click on this start handle game, so start handle game sets this, right? So the set is a trigger. Anytime you call a set, is a trigger, which means it will change the value and it would refresh the page again, right? So what's going to happen is going to change the value to false. Oh, sorry, true, right? And then the page refresh with the new value. So now this is true, right? Which means this is false. So it's no longer rendering this, okay? And it will render this. So if I click on here, automatically this gets rendered, right? So ultimately, this logic runs first, and then ultimately it returns the change the value, right? Which would be the heading and then these two lines, right? So this you can call it a game changer, right? Yeah. This is how it becomes that this is what the dynamic application look like. If pretty much any complex web application you look at, you will have something like this in there, right? But yeah, good question, right? So you want to understand this as much as possible. So when something is happening, you know what exactly is happening, right? Rather than making a lot of guesses.
Yeah, I'm asking just because I don't know, something is wrong with mine. I don't even get to display the button.
Okay, do you want to share your screen?
Sure. Would you allow me to share, please?
Yeah, I think I just did, yeah. Oh, hold on. Did I? Oh, yeah, okay. Go ahead. Okay, so yeah, you remember the state you need to define always between the curly brackets and then return. So you want to not line 5. Yeah, you want to cut it from there and then move it between right there. Yeah. Okay. Now let's see what's happening. Oh yeah, also the function you want to build, function also goes there. Nothing goes in the return. Return only has like the JSX, right? So you always have the state defined first, and then any kind of handle that you have goes after that, after the state. So it should go, line 11. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. Let me share my screen again. Yeah, if you practice a lot, it becomes like a a second nature, right? And that's what I want you to get to, so that anytime you know, write something like this, your brain kind of, oh yeah, I can do this way, right? So it's automatic. You don't have to think where things goes. Raisa, you're quiet today.
Hi, sorry, there's a lot going on in my house.
Okay, okay, yeah, no problem. I just, yeah,
The child needs a lot of attention today.
yeah, yeah. I always have something going. I mean, luckily I tell my family not to disturb me while I'm teaching. Um, but often, you know, it's not possible because you know, I mean, I have meetings all day long and all that stuff. And so the middle of the meeting, I'll see, you know, people walking back here and, you know, doing stuff. Can't avoid it. So
I'm trying to catch up with the React too. I didn't do the homework for last week yet.
okay,
So that's like completely new to me.
okay,
So I'm
but
just listening and
okay,
processing.
yeah, but this is the website, Code Sandbox. If you haven't created any, uh, as I said, you know, you can. You know what? Let me also give you guys. Let me also give you guys. Hold on. Those who want to learn with systematically. I'm gonna give you. Just a second while you do it. I have a course on React and JavaScript. Let me give it to you so you can study systematically and also help me improve it. It's a little bit older course, so uh, you can take it with a grain of salt. But all the fundamentals are there, so um, you can ignore the setup part. But what I would suggest is focus on the. Let me. Okay. Mm. All right. I'm gonna give you this coupon. So this is the course I have, a React course, and you can and when you enroll, you should not pay. It should be, it's supposed to be free if you go through this link. Okay. You can enroll now if you want. Yeah. I can wait for a few minutes. You need a Udemy account first of all, but yeah. And I think the course has I'm not using Code Sandbox, but what you can do is just the code that you learn, you can just apply that inside the Code Sandbox.
So I think I'm doing something wrong. For some
Okay.
reason, it's not changing and it just has both, like start and end and playing the game and
Okay, why don't you share your screen? Yeah.
sure, yeah. Let's see. So I must have done something. It's
All right. Can you go up? Okay. So let's understand. Yeah. So the imported is correct. The is started, that is correct. The functions are correct. Let's go down. Oh, yes. You have an extra parenthesis line
oh,
27 or 28.
28. Oh, yes. I did not mean to have that there.
Yes, let's try that.
Okay, and then now, oh, maybe I have to refresh.
Yeah, refresh that.
Oh,
Oh, it's still, oh yeah, also line 25, right? So you should not, so they both our conditions are exactly the same. So the first is should be not started, which is correct, but line 25 should be is started. Should remove the negative part from 25,
oh,
right?
oh, right. Yeah,
Right.
sorry. I think I was just going too fast and I missed that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, no problem.
the
Right.
copy
So
and paste. Yeah, okay. Thank you
yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah, that's it's a common mistake. Copy paste.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know how you got the parentheses though.
I know. I have no idea what I was doing there.
Yeah, my eyes have become so trained now. I can see problems really fast. But I was in the same boat as you guys were. You know, when I started, the most of the struggle was um, finding out the, you know, those the boo-boos that you make when you start programming. Half of them were like the spelling mistakes, right? Um, so this is how I do thoroughly. I will go line by line, okay? Uh, remove certain things if it's not working, and then once it works, I know this area has a problem, then you fix it. Yeah, Angie, go ahead.
Yeah, can I share my code? Something is not
Sure.
working again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Oops. Oops.
All right. So I'll tell you what's wrong. Yep. You forgot the line 37. You forgot the curly bracket before the semicolon.
Before.
Yeah.
And so do I delete these ones?
Okay, hold on. Oh, Hold on. No, so you need to move that before also. So undo that. Okay. Yeah, you need okay, so that whatever you have in line 38, you need to move it to line 36. After the, yeah, right there. That's it.
Okay.
If you and if you right click on it, right click on the not there, right click on a screen, yeah.
In here.
No, code, inside the code, right click on it. Yeah, right there. And then say format document. So you want to keep formatting the document. So now it's nice and clean, right? So you can see things. This way, so you want to keep formatting after you write. If it doesn't format, that means there's something wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So these functions are also inside their own blocks, right?
Yeah, it needs to be within its own block, right? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Let's. Oh, let me share. All right. Let's move forward. We're gonna practice again. Same thing. So you can create a new code sandbox. So you would say code sandbox.io. Okay. And then click on the new sandbox, pick React. All right. So you get to here. Let's get that and I'll wait for a minute. I forgot to ask you guys. You guys working on a final project?
Final?
Yeah.
I guess we need to talk about that.
Okay. I'll talk about it. Yeah.
Are we supposed to?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe it was my mistake. Okay. So let me clarify that. I think I'm just taking too many classes so that I forget which group I gave the final project to, which group I didn't. So so the final project would be, so from now on, I would not give you guys any homework because we only have like 4 weeks left, right? So what I would do is I'll give you the final project, and final project is up to you what you want to pick. Okay. Um, you can pick, a simple application that does something. For example, you can build a to-do list. You can build whatever. One idea would be um, a guessing game, okay, number guessing game. So for example, let's say if I gave you, say, okay, guess a number between 1 and 100, and you guess a number and you enter. So you have an input box and you enter, and then if that number is matches, then you say, oh, you won, right? If it doesn't match, then you give 2 conditions. So let's say I guessed number 10, right? And you saying you put 50. So then I'll say, oh, the number I guess is lower than 50, basically, right? Then you do another guess. And then again, it will do higher or lower. And then the objective is within a number of tries, you need to guess the number, right? A simple game. A to-do list would be you'll have a list. So we'll go over the to-do list next class. So what you can do is just add some functionality, extra functionality to it, and that will be your final project if you want that way, right? Don't think about something grand. Come up with a project that you want to build, and then what you do is in a final is there's no like final. All you do is present your final project. Okay, that's it. For those who are not attending the class, you can just submit your code, sandbox link in the canvas. For those who are presenting it, just say that I presented this code. You don't have to put the link there because I would know because you presented it, right? So any questions? I'm glad that we got that out.
What's the time for presenting?
First of all, it will be on the final day, which is, let's see, what is the final day?
Mid-December kind of thing.
Yeah, I can give you the exact date.
December 14th.
Yeah, I think it's, so we have what today? Yeah, so we have about exactly 1 month, which means 3 more classes, which means we'll have, so 4 more classes, which means three classes. Well, including this, it'll be 4. So 3 more sessions, which means 2 more sessions for teaching, and then the last is just a test or demo, should I say? Okay, and it's just maybe 5-10 minutes maximum. If you're presenting, it's a 5-minute. If you're not presenting, you just submit your code. That's it. Right.
Can we create one ourselves during the class with a mutual effort?
Yeah, you can actually pair up if you want. You can pair up. Right? Is that what you're asking?
No, more like kind of a demonstration how to do it before we actually do it ourselves. Because right now I think I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, so you need to code with me today here, right? And then watch the video and then practice a little bit, right? As I said, it's not supposed to be, you can build a counter, let's say, which does something unique, right? So you can mix all the concept and say, I build something very unique here, right? It's a, as I said, the functionality can be something that you come up with. But let's say if you want to build, let's say you want to build a Facebook, okay, the whole Facebook. Obviously, you can't build a Facebook in 3 days. So you say, I'm just going to build a login page, right? That kind of, so if you want to build something large, then you start somewhere, but something needs to be working, right? And then you can say, you know what, I'll finish on my own time. That's fine. But I'm going to present this first part. Okay.
And are we supposed to use React for it?
Yeah, I would suggest to use React because it's much easier, right? If you don't use React, then it's going to be much, especially if it's dynamic, right? If you don't want to use React, that's fine. But I think if you use React, it becomes much easier.
What do you mean by dynamic?
Dynamic, like, do you have anything in mind? Let's just say. Do you want
No.
to build? Okay.
Well,
Uh,
I can have lots of ideas. Another thing is, can I apply those ideas? They need to be realistic.
Yeah. So let's say you have a
Tetris game.
yeah. So let's say, well, Tetris, I would not even try. But let's say you have something like this, right? Right? Stop and start, right? So if you build this in React, you know, you have this many lines, but if you don't build this, it becomes very hard. Oh, you're taking also Liliana's class, right?
Correct, yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why you asked.
Yeah.
You wanna what is it called? Kill two birds with one stone.
No, actually, we are like doing the writing pseudocodes there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Do,
so there
do
are
you,
no birds.
oh no birds. Okay. Okay. How about this? How about this? Next class when we meet, come up with something very simple. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna give you let's discuss some options, right? So you can build let's say extend the counter to do something unique. Okay. I don't know, come up with something, right? You can you know uh, uh, you can build as I said, guessing game, right? Guess the number game. What else can you do? In terms of simplicity, this is a pretty good. You can build one time a guy built a snake game, which is very complex, but he tried at least. Um, you can build something where you know you can like an image viewer. So you have a bunch of images and you can say next, 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 and you can see some images swiping, right? We're gonna learn how to, you know, do because you know if you want to have an image, all you have to have is instead of h2 tag, you have an image, right? And then you have an array of images, and then you can say next. So each image gets, you know, some sort of scroller or something. I don't know. What else can you do? Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Um, to-do list. Extended to-do list. How about this? We're gonna go over a to-do list next time. So what you can do, you can take that to-do list and extend your that to add one functionality. Okay, so that could be your final project. So you can take what we learned in one of the class and extend the functionality. Let's say if you take this and then add a pause button, so I can start and then I can pause or something. I don't know. Okay, and then restart and then stop. So you can do something like that, right? So I don't expect you to build something very complex. I expect you to apply your skills and build something, come up with a concept, build something, and then present it, right? That's it. It should be easily possible if you, but I would say practice this, right? What I teach in this class, practice this. This is not a rocket science. It's pretty simple. If you use it 5 or 6 different times, right? You'll get the idea. Okay. So lastly, let's just go over the one I was talking about. Let's say counter. So again, you blindly, if you when you want to build a state, the first thing you do is import, use state from React, right? This is you blindly do this. Okay. This lets you build the state. Okay. And then between the curly bracket and return, you need to first define your state. So let's say if I have a counter, right? So I'm gonna say const, and this is exactly same you write. So you have a getter, which is the value count, and then set count, right? And then you would say equal to use state, and then you say what is the value, default value is going to be. So 0 is the default value. Okay, so this is how you can define state. You can define one state, you can define multiple states, doesn't matter. Okay, the same way. And if I want to use this somewhere, I can simply do this. I can say h2, and then anytime you want to use the dynamic part, you have to use curly brackets. So you would say curly brackets and h2, and inside I'm just going to say count, right? So I can see the 0 here. Okay. So, and then you want to change it. You need some sort of action like a button or something, right? So defining button is pretty simple. So you have a button, open, open, and then you have a close button, right? And then inside I would say plus sign, which increments, right? So I can click on it. And then button has an event, which is called on click, right? And then you would say, okay, when I click on it, some function needs to run, which is called handle. So I can say plus handle, right? Which we haven't defined. So you can just say function plus handle is this. Okay, let's write up to this point, and then we'll move to the next step. I'm going to show you how to do the hide and show a counter using our. So now we're combining the state and also the conditional rendering. And if you keep repeating this, your brain will get trained on it. It's pretty simple, right? Because now you're focusing on building the application, which has some state, and then you use a state, and then you modify the state. It's pretty simple. It might look overwhelming at first, but if you write like a 3 or 4 different examples, it becomes a second nature. Okay. So now what we're going to do is when you have, okay, how do we do such that if the count reaches 10, it should disappear? How would we do this? Any ideas?
Put an if statement in the function.
If we could put the if statement in the function, nothing would work, right? Because in order for it to disappear from here, right, you need to do something here. As long as the count is that, it's going to show, right? It will not disappear. So you need a conditional rendering here, right?
Okay.
So you can say here, you can put another curly bracket around it, right? And then remember, the syntax was pretty simple. You would say if the count is greater than equal to 10, right? Or less than equal to 10, my bad. If it's less than equal to 10, show, otherwise hide, right? So what is it going to do? When is it going to be true? While it's lower than 10, this is true. As soon as it goes over 10, it's no longer true, right? So if this is not true, it's not going to render this. That's what it means. Okay. So if I just do plus handle, should be simply set count. And then remember last time we learned for updating, we would just take the previous value and then we would say previous value plus 1, right? So it takes the previous value, which is 0. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Abracadabra, it's gone. Now you cannot get back. There's no way, right? Because this will keep incrementing. There's no way you can get back, right? So, yeah, this is how it works. Okay. Even if I add, let's say, decrement button, I would not know that if I reach 10, right? Because right now it could be, I don't know, 12 or 15. I can actually do it here again. I can just check what the count is actually. Even though I removed from here, it's actually 15, right? Because this this is still displaying. This is not, because this I set, right? So I can check always what's the count value of count is, right? So even if I add let's say minus handle here, right? And then this would be let's say I use a second. This would be -1, right? So now let's do this. If I do 1, 2, 3, well, sorry. That's supposed to be minus. My bad. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Voila. If I keep clicking, it has reached maybe 14, 15 or something, right? Now if I keep clicking again, so maybe 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. Oh, now it's here. So follow the rules. If you follow the rules, don't think beyond that, right? Follow the rules and then you see it working. What I'll do is I'll save those examples and put it in the canvas as well, so you can play around with it, right? What else? Yeah. So next week, so we learned the condition rendering today, right? Next week we're gonna look at how to render lists, and also we're gonna look at changing the input. So let's say if we want to enter something in an input box, right? We're gonna learn how to deal with input boxes. All right.
Is there going to be a class next
Next.
week? It's a Thanksgiving.
Oops. Oh yeah, no class next week. Looks like I don't live in the the land of holidays. Okay, thanks for reminding. Oh my God, Thanksgiving is so close. Okay, I need to plan to ask something. Yeah, so no class next week. So week after that. Week after that.
Great.
All right. But come up with an idea. What you want to do. I gave you some options, right? You can come up with your own. You can build a simple website if you want, right? Or something, using some dynamic part of it. Just come up with something, right? And we can discuss, and then we can say, okay, yeah, you can build this, or yeah, how about add something here, or no, you don't want to do this, otherwise you can't finish it, right? We can discuss all of that next week, or not next week, a week after that. Thank you. All right.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay. So, yeah, Angie, you have a question?
Yeah, my code is not working again.
All right, let's see what's happening.
What am I doing wrong? Something else wrong.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Okay.
Wait.
So let's debug go on the top, right? So yes, you defined that, so that's correct. Okay, first of all, right click, unformat this.
Okay.
Always. Okay, if it formats, then your syntax wise, you don't have an issue. Okay, so that's clean. I don't see any red, which means there is no extra semicolon or anything like that. Okay, that's good. All right, so the second thing is you define the state properly. You haven't put the default value inside. So let's line 6, you put 0, right? Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
Okay,
I was
let's
waiting for that. All right.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was
Let's
that.
try it out. Let's try it out. See if it disappears after 10.
Wait, let me see what I did so far. I create a button. Here's a function. The function add +1, and then here's a condition.
Yeah, I think it should work.
Oh, I have, okay,
There you go.
it does.
Abracadabra. Okay, cool.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, as I said, I'm telling you, if you learn React with your heart, and continue learning, it will take probably, I don't know, 6-7 months of practice and a little bit more to get to a level where comfortable and all that stuff, right? There are so many jobs on React. You can apply as an intern or whatnot. Ultimately, you can make a really decent amount of money with this. As I said, I think junior developer usually get over $100,000. React developer. Mid-level gets about 140, 50. Senior developer get close to 200,000. Architect, well, we don't worry about the more than that, but that's a lot of money, right? So I would say focus, if you practice this, put your heart in it. Everything looks difficult in the beginning, right? Yeah, focus on the final product, but I always want to give you motivation. Go further than that, right? This gives you motivation to do your project. So yeah, there you go. Great. Yeah, so I'm not gonna see you next week, which means make sure that you have a good time on Thanksgiving, and I'll see you week after that, Thursday.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.